This lesson is going to talk about how to find distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane. Now, we've been talking a lot about the Pythagorean theorem, and I can actually use this theorem in order to find the distance between 2 points. If I'm trying to find the distance from this point to this point, so the length of, we'll call it d for distance between these 2 points, I can find an A length, okay, going straight horizontally, and a B length going vertically in order to find the c squared, or in this case, d squared. So let's draw that in. So my A length would be side to side, okay, however far horizontally my line D goes, and B starting here and going up here. So this is A and this is B, and if I wanted to find the D length, all I have to use is the Pythagorean theorem. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared is my formula. Now A, how long is A? 1, 2, 3 units. B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So 3 squared plus 6 squared equals C slash D squared. I'm going to change it to D because the variable D is right here. And I'm going to simplify. So 3 times 3 is 9. 6 times 6 is 36. If I add those together, 36 plus 9 is a grand total of 45. Now remember, in order to get the length of D, I need to undo the square. So D squared equals 45. So I'm going to take the square root, and I am left with D is equal to, and we're going to approximate, or let's plug it into a calculator, the square root of 45 is about 6.7. 6.7. Whoops. And that is how I find the distance. So let's look at a couple more examples. So finding distance in a coordinate plane. So let's say I have this picture. So the park is 5 miles east from your home. And you'll notice here is my home at home base. The park is 5 miles east. So there is my A length, that horizontal flat length. The library is 4 miles north. Remember, north is up on a map. So if we have north, east, south, and west, okay, the library is 4 miles north of the park, so that is my B length. And I want to know how far is my home away from the library. So if I cut across, okay, the lawn or all of the houses, okay, all through all the backyards to get me from the home to the library, okay, how long is that going to be? So I'm going to take my A and my B and use my Pythagorean theorem. So 5 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. Let's simplify. 5 times 5 is 25. 4 times 4 is 16 equals C squared. 25 plus 16, just to be safe, 25 plus 16 is a grand total of 41. 41 equals C squared. And remember, I need to undo the last step of squaring so that I have, let's see what the square root of 41 is. Clear all. Square root of 41 is about 6.4. Okay, and let's put units on that, miles. All right. Try this example on your own. Pardon the typos, I fixed them. Pause until you're done, and then press play when you're ready to see the answer. All right, the post office is 3 miles east of your home. So 3 units to the east, that's my horizontal length. So I'm going to call that A. A is 3 units. your school is 2 miles north of your home. So B, which is my vertical unit in this case, is 2. Now I want to know how far the post office, so I want to know how far it is from the post office to my school. If I cut through all the buildings, how long is that distance? I'm going to round my answer to the nearest tenth. So I know it's longer than 2 miles and 3 miles, because this should be the longest side, and this is, I'm going to label C. So let's go ahead and use our Pythagorean theorem. So a squared is plus b squared equals c squared is my formula. So a squared is 3 squared plus b squared, which is 2 squared, equals c squared. Let's simplify. 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4, 2 times 2 is 4, equals c squared. Combining my like terms, 9 plus 4 is 13, equals c squared. And remember to take the square root to finish that off. So the square root, let's clear all, square root of 13, rounding to the nearest tenth, that's 1 decimal place. There's a 0 in the second decimal place, so that says it is closer to 3.6 than 3.1. So the answer is 3.6 equals C. Make sure to label it 3.6 miles. All right, let's try one last example. If I have any graph, I'm not quite so certain what I'm trying to find, it's important to read the instructions. How far is the cabin to the fire tower? So find those two locations. Here's the cabin, here's the fire tower, and I want to know the distance. So if I were to cut through all the trees and go straight between the two, what is that distance? Now remember, because this is slanted, I cannot count those units, so I need to find my horizontal length. I'm going to change colors. My horizontal length, then I'm going to go over until my line ends. It lines up with this point up here. That is my A length. That is 1, 2, 3 units. So A equals 3. And I'm going to go straight up for my vertical distance. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my vertical distance, or B, is equal to 7. If I want to find the distance of the diagonal, I'm going to use my Pythagorean theorem, because this is a right angle. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. A squared is 3 squared, B squared is 7 squared, and C squared, I don't know what the length of this diagonal is, so we leave it as C. 3 times 3 is 9, 7 times 7 is 49, and C squared. Combine my terms. 9 plus 49 is 58, equals C squared. Now that is not a perfect square, so I need a calculator. And the square root of 58, oh, here it is, square root of 58 is 7.615, and it continues. I want to round to my nearest tenth. So if I want to round to my nearest tenth, I want only 1 decimal place. So 7.6, and I look at the 1 right after it to determine if it's closer to 7.7 or 7.6. Definitely closer to 7.6 because I'm not above that halfway threshold mark. So 7.6 is equal to C, and remember to label it 7.6 kilometers. If you have any questions about finding the distance between 2 points on a coordinate plane, please reach out to your teacher.